Hey, Treasure fans, your pal Big D back here again with a weekly news announcement. And this is for the 15th of June and the 22nd of June, 2021. Those of you new to my channel, I do this every week where I talk about what's coming new on Blu-ray and DVD and 4K for the current week, the next week, and then I also talk about anything newly announced over the last couple weeks. And at the end of the video, I show you any other pickups or any other news that I feel you might be interested in. At the very end of this video, I do have some additional Dollar Tree pickups. There's 2 Dollar Trees in my town. I gone to one. My cat is hissing like nobody's business over here. And I didn't go to this other one because this other one never gets movies. And if they do, it's always like one box and it's all just the stuff everybody else gets. There's nothing new in there. This time I went to that Dollar Tree just in a whim, and they actually had some stuff there. I was quite surprised. So at the very end of the video, I'll show you my other Dollar Tree pickups. But let's get started. So tomorrow, a big day. We do have King Kong vs. Godzilla coming out tomorrow on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. There is a special edition 4K Steelbook from Best Buy, and there is a 3D version of this movie, which again, I explained last week. You just don't see a lot of 3D movies anymore, so that's pretty cool that it's coming out in 3D. Also tomorrow we have In the Line of Fire, Clint Eastwood epic coming out in 4K. Last Action Hero is coming out in a single non-Steelbook edition 4K tomorrow. Parks and Rec, the entire series on Blu-ray for the first time tomorrow. Shout Factory is releasing The Awakening. Kino Lorber is releasing Body Slam. I remember that movie from the 80s. Also, we have Take This Job and Shove It coming out tomorrow on Blu-ray. I think that's for the first time. We have another Ultraman coming out in a Steelbook format too. It's Ultraman Zero Collection. The Walking Dead World Beyond Season 1 is coming out tomorrow, which I described last time I talked to you guys about it. I thought it was an okay series. Definitely the weakest of all 3 series. I think a lot of it has to do with some of the acting's not very good, and the story is, they're really taking what I feel like an insane amount of time to flesh out the story. The first season, they finally started to flesh out towards the end. So we'll see what happens with it. And then the last thing that's being released tomorrow is Voyagers, which, by the way, I did see, and I explained last week, that's coming out on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K. Not a bad movie. It's like Lord of the Flies in space, but I did enjoy it. It was actually pretty good. The one warning I'll give you two about that movie is, excuse me, it's slow. So it's a slow burn movie. So be prepared when you sit down there's a few action sequences and stuff like that, but it's got a slow burn. It takes a little while to build up. You kind of see where they're going with it. So that's all coming out tomorrow. Next week, the 22nd, we do have Half Baked coming out for the first time on Blu-ray. Those of you who around the 90s know Half Baked very well, and that's finally coming out on Blu-ray for the first time next week. Also, CB4 is coming out on Blu-ray for the first time next week. Another great movie. Chris Rock. It's kind of a parody of like rap music and stuff like that. It's actually really funny. Kino Lorber is also releasing next week, Career Opportunities. And then we have Nobody coming out on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K next week. Severin Films is releasing Strike Commandos 1 and 2. I didn't even know there was a 2. And we also have Umbrella Academy Season 1 coming out on Blu-ray next week. We have The Unholy, which is a Jeffrey D. Morgan movie, which I just saw that one recently too. Liked this one a lot. Really liked it a lot. Now I will admit I am a little bit biased. I'm a big fan of Jeffrey D. Morgan's. I got to meet him one time. He gave me a hug. It was the coolest thing in the world. He was the nicest guy in the world. And I've been a big fan of his way back then, even before Supernatural. So, really, really super guy. So I am a little bit biased in this, but I still thought it was a pretty good story. And it kind of paralleled what's kind of going on nowadays. And the political climate we have. Not really political. It's kind of a more subtle, but I kind of felt like there was some parallels with things we see today. So, but I really enjoyed it. I really thought it's good. I'm actually really looking forward to purchasing that one. So that comes out next week. And let's see here. The last movie coming out next week is It Happened at the World's Fair. A lot of people might not know what that title is. It's an Elvis Presley movie. It's actually, oddly enough, my favorite Elvis Presley movie. People say, you know, all of his other random movies throughout the years, this is actually my favorite one. I don't know why. I remember seeing as a kid, and he helps this little girl at the fair, and I don't know. I really like this movie. I've always really liked it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it does come out from Blu. I think it's Blu-ray for the first time next week, so that's coming out as well. So that's it for this week. And next week, I want to talk about anything coming out, anything newly announced. So the biggest thing that was announced was Columbia Classics Collection Part 2 is coming out on 4K. So you guys remember So about a year ago, they put one out. It had a few movies. It came in a really nice box set. There was only 8,000 copies of it made, so it's already out of print. And I know the movies individually, some of them came out on 4K later on, but I think it was the only way to get all these movies together in 4K. So they're releasing another box set September 4th. This one's going to have Anatomy of a Murder, Oliver, Taxi Driver, Stripes, Sense and Sensibility, and The Social Network. Interesting lineup of movies. I don't know. I was a little bit more impressed with the first box set because it had, I can't remember what was in it now. Oh my gosh. I can't remember what was in it. I thought that one was really neat. I thought about getting it. I didn't decide to. It was not a big deal. None of those movies I really needed in 4K, so it was okay. This one to me is a little bit, like, Taxi Driver would be good to have in 4K. I don't see any need for Stripes to be in 4K. Sense and Sensibility, again, I don't see any need for that to be in 4K. Anatomy of Murder might be because it's a black and white movie, and those do look pretty good on 4K. Oliver, I was never a big fan of it, so I can't say. And then I'm going to say it here, I'm probably going to get a lot of grief for it. I did not like The Social Network. I didn't think it was that great of a movie. I found it extremely boring. Maybe because Jesse Eisenberg was the main star. I don't know. His movies are really hit or miss for me because he acts the same way in every movie. So I just was not a big fan of it. And for me, getting this in 4K, I don't see any reason for that one to be in 4K. It just seems like it's a cash grab. I actually feel like this whole box set's kind of a cash grab in a lot of ways. Anatomy of Murder, I'm sure is going to be really good on 4K. And probably Oliver and Taxi Driver will probably be really good. But individual standalone releases would be fine. And the box set, which is going to cost you $100-something bucks, I just don't know. I just don't see Sense and Sensibility being, oh my gosh, it's 4K, it's the greatest thing ever, So, but that's my opinion. And if you do like this thing's more power to you, I would tell you this though. I remember the first box set went like that. I mean, it was only 8,000 copies, and my understanding is it's going to be extremely limited as well. So, they're going to go quick. So if you're really interested in getting this, I would say jump on it sooner rather than later, because I have a feeling, because I think in the secondary market now, the first box set goes for $400 and $500. I won't pay that. No way, no how. So I would jump on that. If you don't want to get that, but you want to get, let's say, I don't know, Oliver in 4K, hold off. They will eventually release those into individual releases. So, but that's coming out September 4th. Now, we also do have Labyrinth, the 35th Anniversary Edition 4K coming out, and that'll be out August 17th. Severin Films is releasing Raiders of Atlantis towards the end of this month. It just announced it, but especially it's coming out towards the end of this month. Or at least not coming out, but the pre-orders will be available to start doing on Severin's website at the end of this month. And that's it. I didn't really see anything else other than I will mention Star Trek. I talked about Star Trek a few times in their 4K restoration. I saw a really good like presentation on YouTube a few days ago in regards to Star Trek and their 4Ks, and I read a really good article recently in regards to the 4Ks too. So here's the situation, because you know me, I love Star Trek. There's Star Trek right there. If I pan over to this part of the room, it's all Trek. Matter of fact, you can even see my Trek light right there. So, there's even stuffed animals up there and more up there. Anyways, so I'm always on top of this. I'm always trying to run research on it. So what I found out about Star Trek 4K is Paramount is really considering releasing them. They already have Star Trek 2 remastered in 4K. It was remastered in 4K when they released it a couple years ago. They released that the director's cut of it. They did remaster it in 4K at that point, so that movie's actually done. What's holding up Paramount to releasing the rest, because they do, it sounds like they really do. A Paramount rep does talk about it. I read an article where he talked about it, and they're really looking at it really hard. The biggest hurdle that they have is, and what the guy said in the article was that Star Trek the Motion Picture would be their big hurdle. To go back and do what they need to do to clean it up, to really restore it to 4K would cost a lot of money. So Paramount's kind of like, I don't know. The rest of them wouldn't be as much restoration. They would have to do restoration, obviously, on part 3, 4, all the way up through 10. But even some of the later movies, the Next Generation movies, they're newer movies. They're not from the 80s. They're more from the late 90s and early 2000s. So those wouldn't be as hard to remaster. The earlier ones would be a little more difficult, but the motion picture is the one that's really kind of hanging things up, because the article that I read, the guy talked about the fact that they had to put in a few million to actually bring it up to where they want to do it. So that's kind of what's holding it back, but they are really seriously considering. At the end of the article, the guy that worked for Paramount said, Might not happen like tomorrow, but he really does believe that they will eventually be released all on 4K, which for me is amazing. I'm totally stoked on that. I really can't wait for that. I want to get those movies on 4K. Really, but I can't imagine what like Star Trek 3 and 4 will look like in 4K. Even the motion picture, they do it right. I can't imagine those effects coming out being flushed out a lot more. Because if you remember when they remastered it, when they put up the director's cut, you know, Robert Wise went back and added some stuff in and fixed some stuff. It looked a lot better than it did originally in the first, originally also. So it'd be curious to see, but be forewarned, they are on the horizon. Eventually Paramount will release these things. They know that there's a demand out there. But there's a couple subreddits and there are a couple other things out there on the internet of people who are petitioning Paramount to release these things in 4K. It makes sense. If you got all the Star Wars movies, you might want those Star Trek movies. So just be patient. Stuff will come soon. And the other update I want to give you is the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Crusade, all those, the 4Ks that came out. So what happened was, doing my research, I found out that the reason why you can't find them individually anywhere right now, there was a disc error problem. So they had already replicated the steelbook versions. That's why Best Buy got all their steelbooks, but they had an issue when they were replicating them for just the single disc. So those are a couple weeks behind. You'll start to see them. They should start hitting short shelves within the next couple weeks. By the end of the month, you should be able to find all 4 of the movies individually. At least I think so. Another special note is if you bought the steelbook, you only got the 4K version. So you did not get anything else other than the 4K version of each movie, and you got a digital copy. If you hold off and get just the individuals, you will get a 4K, a Blu-ray, and the digital copy. The Blu-rays have been enhanced also, so they're a little bit different than the Blu-rays that came out. They just didn't throw them back out there again. So that's what I'm going to wait for. I know I'm a big steelbook guy. I love steelbooks, but I'm glad I didn't get that set because I'd much rather have the whole kit, have a Blu-ray and a 4K, because I don't have Blu-ray. I don't have 4K players in every room in my house. So I like to have the DVD as a backup too, especially if I want to go over to somebody's house and watch the movie. And everybody, I think I'm one of 2 people I know that have a 4K player. You know, this is my general area, so if I want to go over with that movie, I have the Blu-ray. So be on the lookout. The individual movies should be out later towards the end of the month, and I believe the regular box sets too will be out towards the end of the month. So that's the reason why I'm able to find it. It was a disc issue, and unfortunately, we're probably going to find that more as a lot of these companies start to streamline, and a lot of the replication processes for the plants that make these things are gone now. A lot of the outsourced a lot out of the country, so this may happen a little bit more. But just be warned. Just be on the lookout. They should be coming in the month. I did see a few reviews, a couple people, because nobody got advanced copies of it. That's the reason why I couldn't find reviews up there, because Paramount was able to send out advanced copies because they're not going to send you the steelbook. It's a premium price item that's exclusive for Best Buy. So even the reviewers haven't gotten their copies yet. The only reviews I've seen so far, people actually went out and bought the box set. I can tell you this, what I've seen so far is apparently the Raiders of the Lost Ark looks amazing. The Last Crusade looks really good. Most people say they really don't know anything about the Crystal Skull. They say because it was a later movie, it doesn't really look like it had much in hand, it didn't do too much to it. The one that everybody's disappointed about so far is Temple of Doom. Apparently, Temple of Doom in a lot of cases doesn't even looks better on the old Blu-ray than the new 4K. So kind of weird how they kind of skipped that on that one. But I did hear the audio on all the movies is absolutely amazing. So that's it for Raiders. Now, what I want to do, the last thing here is I did hit another Dollar Tree. It was the other one in my town that I don't normally hit because they never get anything. But just on a whim, I tried it too, and sure enough, they had a few movies. So I only had one Blu-ray. Got a few DVDs though. So let me show you what I got. First off, I was stoked to get this Imperium. I've heard really good things about this movie. Looking forward to seeing this. Like I said, I've heard good things, and love Daniel Radcliffe, so I grabbed that. Next, I grabbed this for my wife because she's a massive fan of this. It's Scooby-Doo. What's New Scooby-Doo Volume 3, Halloween Booze and Clues. Remember the old snapper cases? That's funny. So I grabbed this one for my wife, pretty stoked. She's got a pretty big Scooby-Doo collection. So, and yes, she is excited about the new Velma series they're going to be doing. I think it's for HBO. Just a Velma series all about Velma in high school. So she will be watching that. So there's that. Next, we have Master of Z, which is part of the Ip Man collection. I got it mostly because the fact it's got Michelle Yeoh and Dave Bautista. So I was like, all right, I'll definitely want to check this out. I love movies like this. These movies are fun. So grab that. Next, I grabbed, this is where I love when they put these things out. You find these all the time at Walmart, and then they disappear from Walmart, and then they end up at Dollar Tree. That's why I don't buy them at Walmart anymore. But this is a 3-movie collection. It's called Asteroid Final Impact, and it's also got Project Viper and Dark Breed. So it's like 3 for $1. You can never get past that. So I love these. I love to find these things. It cracks me up. Next, I got another horror movie. It's called Polaroid. Do any of you guys remember Polaroids? I do. I remember being a kid, the old Polaroids. Remember, they had the old flash cube on the top that you click once and the little cube would go poof, and that part of the cube was gone. You had to rotate over to the next one, poof. So Polaroid, I dig movies like this. This is the kind of movie I'll throw in while I'm doing house cleaning or something like that and just watch the background. So grab that. And the last two I got were both Danny Trejo movies. There was quite a few Danny Trejo movies in there. The first one is Danny Trejo in Voodoo Possession. Yeah, look in the back. His eyes and everything. Okay, I'm going to grab it. I know this is going to be cheesy, but whatever. And then the last one I got, this is a Danny Trejo 2-pack on Blu-ray, and it's called Border Cross with Lorenzo Lamas and Chavez Cage of Glory. Again, I've never heard of these things, have no idea. I do like Danny Trejo. I think he's a great actor. I've loved just about everything he's ever been in. I always remember him as Beintidos from Con Air. But, you know, I've always liked him. I've always been a big fan of his. So I'm always going to pick. I can't tell you how many cheesy Danny Trejo movies I have in my collection, because he's done a lot of just like one-offers that have been just like, you know, straight to video things. But I enjoy watching him. I think he's just a hilarious and funny guy. So there you go. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, the bell, leave me some comments. I'm trying to get back to all the people in my Dollar Tree video. Yes, I have not put up my Rasputin. I'm so sorry. The Dollar Tree thing got me aside. That will be going up tomorrow or the next day. Thank you so much for watching. I really, truly appreciate it. Please share this video if you get a chance. Always keep hunting. You know what you're never going to find. And as always, live long and prosper.